A lot of people say that brushes don't matter in creating your next magnum opus, but line art is a different case. Has this ever happened to you? Oh boy, this is a very nice solid sketch. I love it. I'm sure it will look even more beautiful after I line art. Oh, well shit. Full disclaimer, people have different line art preferences. Some people like it neat, some people like it sketchy or loose. This will factor into what brush works best for you. Personally, I like my line art neat, so doing that with my sketching brush only makes my blood boil. Okay, but to be fair, you can actually line art using this brush. You just need extra time and patience and effort in doing so. But like, do you really wanna put yourself through all that just for a line art? Think about it. There are two line art brushes which are my personal favorites in Ibispaint. First is Dip Pen Heart. Let's call it DPH for short. It's really smooth and the size is perfect for drawing both small accessories and big shapes. The second one is Glass Pen. Now the difference between these two brushes is not much actually. It's quite similar, but if you look closely, Glass Pen looks a little bit sharper around the edges, but overall they look very similar. I haven't tried a lot of brushes in Ibispaint collection, but I'm sure there are many more in the online library. But by far, these two are the most suitable for me. However, regardless of what brush you chose, always turn on the stabilizer. Just turn it on to the max. This is for the neat line art lovers, by the way. Also in your pen setting, turn both the opacity of the start and the end to the very lowest. This way your brush is easier to control even though you have shaky hands like yours truly. I haven't tried brushes for sketchy or loose line art yet, but I found one in Clip Studio Asset. It's called Gasa Gaya Line Pen by Tokimal. Their art style is amazing. It looks very aesthetic, and I like how the brush looks like pen on paper. It's really cool. So for you sketchy line art enjoyers, you can use this brush or find similar ones in Ibispaint. Also, feel free to recommend your go-to line art brushes in the comments. Share them with our fellow artists. Having a clean sketch is something I live by every time I line art. It makes the line art process so much smoother and quicker because you don't have to work your brain overtime trying to figure out whatever the fuck this is as you line art. One time I was too lazy to draw a cleaner sketch and it took me 5 freaking hours to finish the line art. So, clean sketch guys. I always alternate between thick and thin lines to give depth and dimension to the artwork. I especially love to draw thick lines on the eyes to get that anime look. By the way, speaking of eyes, can we talk about Neuvillette's eyeliner? Spill your eyeliner technique, please, sir. It's sharper than my brain. The pressure you put on your iPad or tab screen will determine the line thickness. I think the same thing is also applicable to drawing tablet as well. If it's still too thick or not thick enough, you can adjust the brush size. For smaller details like accessories, I like to create small repetitive lines, or chicken scratches lines if you will. People tend to avoid these types of lines because they look messy or unsightly. Chicken scratches bad! Wah! But this technique actually add more dimension and texture to small details like eyebrows and hair strands. If you're worried it would look messy, turn your stabilizer on max and take your time. You're in no rush at all. John Kramer is not watching over you. Also, avoid doing it in different direction like this as best as you can. And by the way, messy doesn't always mean bad. If utilized correctly, these chicken scratches are really aesthetic and unique. There's just this stigma against chicken scratches. Drawing bigger shapes like the hair can be quite challenging. Rather than repetitive lines, I draw a single line as fast as I can, so it looks smooth. You do need to rotate your screen and press undo multiple times, but you'll get there. If you're drawing on pen tablets, lift your elbow from your desk so your hand can move freely. If it still doesn't look right, just draw 2 broken lines and connect it later. Don't forget to combine it with small thin lines as well for texture. I love textures. I love them more than I love rice. And that's a lot. Especially when you're drawing hair, if there's no texture, it looks like Lego hair. If your character has a lot of details like Monsieur Neuvillette here, draw them in different layers. And if there's anything you can copy-paste, just copy-paste. Don't make it hard on yourself. You might feel nauseated right now because I keep rotating my canvas, sorry about that, but it's just easier to line art this way rather than twisting your hand in a weird way. Also, rulers in Ibispaint make it so much easier for you to draw straight lines. I don't usually line art because it takes a toll on my patience, but believe it or not, it's easier to line art all these details rather than painting them. I was really excited when Neuvillette decided to join my party. He's beautiful, he's graceful, but most of all, take a look at this. That's right, eat my rainwater, you scum. If you feel your line art is monotone or boring, add some shadows. Not too much, just on the parts that, on top of each other. That is a really bad way of explaining it, so just look at the screen. Look at the screen and you'll get what I mean. You can leave your drawing as it is and flex your line art game to your friends, assuming you have any. You can color it, which by the way can also be done using these two brushes. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna color it now. It seems like too much effort. But if you do decide to color it, try to color the line art as well. Just create a new layer on top of it, clip it, and color using airbrush or any other brushes. Okay, it doesn't look good now because I'm too lazy to color the whole thing. But trust me, it's worth it. I usually use red for the face and blue for everything else, but feel free to try other colors as well. Rather than coloring, I prefer to shade it with hatchings. What is hatchings? According to Google, hatching is an artistic technique used to create tonal or shading effects by drawing or painting or scribing closely spaced parallel lines. Why am I more confused reading this explanation? Anyway, hatching is shading with these lines instead of colors. If you look at shonen mangas like Jujutsu, the artists usually use this shading technique. You can also shade it like this. It's called cross hatchings because the lines cross each other. Get it? But my favorite is using screen tone. I love screen tones in Ibispaint because it's so easy to apply. Just open the layers and pick screen tone. There are multiple patterns to choose from. I normally just use dots. Now whatever color you chose, it will turn into grayscale. What matters is the value or how dark the color is. Use soft eraser and airbrush to apply softer looking tone, like for blushes or lip color. What is it, Monsieur Neuvillette? Are you feeling shy looking at me? I'm so sorry, it's a joke. Anyway, this is the time lapse of the line art process. There's just something so satisfying seeing other people's line art process on speed. Even though the artist is probably having an emotional roller coaster because of it. Regardless, I hope you enjoy it anyway. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. Enjoy! Also, if I still find "Fong, what brush do you use?" type of comments in this video, Neuvillette will hose you down with rainwater. Eat my rainwater, you scum.